and welcome to this session. My name is Malcom Cook. I'm heading up sales and business development for ThyssenKrupp Uhde in the Middle East and Turkey. Many of you will know me from previous GPCA events, but for those we haven't met, unfortunately we have to meet virtually, but we all understand health and safety is our #1 priority. So without that, we'll go into the presentation. Thank you. Welcome to the presentation. As you see the name Uhde, ThyssenKrupp Uhde. We're talking about our innovations to make the ammonia and fertilizer industry ready for the future. Many of you will know us as Uhde, and that's the name we've reverted to for the business unit that looks after chemicals and fertilizers. I'm going to talk about 5 things today. I'm going to talk about the overall market trends, a little bit about our fertilizer solution, the digitalization models that are important for the marketplace, latest innovations in the market and how we're looking to tackle those, and an overall summary. So first one, the market trends. We see generally worldwide that there's an overcapacity in ammonia and urea in certain markets. Here in the Middle East, we're seeing a growth of the market, and that's driven by the advantages the Middle East has in terms of gas and also logistics. We're also seeing the trend towards products becoming more efficient. So we're seeing tailored fertilizers, and you've heard about this in some of the earlier sessions. There has always been a trend to how do we drive efficient fertilizer production. So low energy, and in this region, particularly low water consumption. And then the environmental aspects with lowering the emission. We're seeing our combination with partners in the agriculture, how to make the application of fertilizer more efficient and how to make sure we're not wasting fertilizer. And last but not least, we're seeing a general trend towards blue and green ammonia, and that's particularly being led in this region. So that's production of products with low or no carbon footprint. So we've split the market and we've looked at each little sub-market. So the Middle East, as I already alluded to, very competitive due to the market price and the logistics. It's historically been commodity producers, and we're now seeing a little bit of a switch to the commodity producers adding on tailored fertilizers to that. We're seeing the rise of green and blue ammonia, and we've seen recently announced projects and trades in ammonia between this region and Japan and also Europe. The other factor in this region is due to the geopolitical situation. Iran is not exporting and is not producing some of the new projects that it had on the slate maybe 8 years ago. So you look along the market trends for the rest of the world. You can read them there for yourselves, but I'll pick out a couple with Southeast Asia and China together. China is looking at shutting down its coal-based fertilizer plants, and Indonesia and Malaysia are their producers, big producers, and Malaysia has an advantage due to its low gas price. We'd also put Brunei into that marketplace as well, because Brunei we're doing a fertilizer project in Brunei, and that's got very advantaged low gas prices. India, we've seen a shift in India, the market in India, to become self-sufficient in fertilizers, and looking towards the CIS, very, very low gas price, but non-optimal access for export. So moving on to looking at the westbound markets, a few years ago with the shale revolution has allowed the US or North America to become self-sufficient, and now they're looking at driving beyond self-sufficiency, so looking at export. On the downside, they do have the cost of getting the high inland transport, so getting from some of the production areas in the Gulf up to the farming belts. So we've seen an increase in production of fertilizers within the farming belts. The US particularly suffers from high capex, and that's driven by the capital cost or the construction cost of the particular. Again, we're seeing raising the interest in green and blue ammonia, And we're also seeing add-ons to existing fertilizer projects. So for our project in CF Industries in US, where we're adding on a green ammonia, green hydrogen to make green ammonia into their existing complex. Last one to cover here is Africa. Africa still has underutilization of fertilizers. We're seeing new plants going on stream in Nigeria, but there's still a lack of local fertilizer production. And this is actually driven by some of the problems, particularly getting into sub-Saharan Africa from a transport production. And overall, though, Africa has a good production conditions for green fertilizer units. So a little bit to talk about our fertilizer solutions and how we tackle those. We've got a variety of products. I'll show you the overall portfolio, and then I'll concentrate on what we see ammonia and urea as part of that. So this is our overall fertilizer and fertilizer related portfolio. One of the things you'll see is the products on the right-hand side, from methanol, urea formaldehyde, melamine, urea granules, etc., and down to ammonium nitrate, calcium ammonium nitrate, and ammonium sulfate here. So we're able to deliver all of that from one hand, but we don't do it alone. We work with partners, and two that I'll introduce here are Stami Carbon with the urea technology, and Stami are talking after ourselves, and we've got the cooperation with Eurotechnica for the melamine side in that side. So you can see our overall fertilizer portfolio. So just to concentrate on a couple of them, the ammonia and the urea as part of this chain, from synthetic natural gas or green hydrogen through to ammonia, through to urea, and then the granulation and prilling side. So a little bit about this, a little bit about the technology. So either starting from natural gas, and you can see the amount of natural gas per ton of ammonia, or from the electric power. And this is from green electric power or renewable power. So it's looking at two options, either purification right through, and this is the classical natural gas purification, synthetic loop to ammonia. And the co-product or byproduct for this is CO2. And we're seeing the market is looking at then how we can decarbonize that. So either carbon capture and usage, or carbon capture and storage. So carbon capture and usage, making things like urea, making things like methanol, and the storage is in this region being used for enhanced oil recovery. For the green ammonia, it starts with renewable power. Then we use electrolysis to make the hydrogen, an air separation unit to give us the nitrogen, and that goes into the synthesis loop, and there's ammonia. At the moment, I would say the top one is cost advantaged, but the second one, particularly with the drive towards a reduction of renewable power, is becoming increasingly attractive in this region. We're seeing power of approximately 1 cent per kilowatt hour for renewables in this region. So that's driving then the green ammonia. Applications, fertilizers, and we've heard a lot about ammonia as an energy storage and a carrier, so for taking green molecules around, and also fuel directly for maritime vessels. On the right-hand side, you can see there are ammonia references here, are recent ammonia references. We've talked about the market outlook. The market outlook is strong for ammonia, particularly given the drive for additional usage is here. And we're also going to see an impact of carbon tax on ammonia, particularly in Europe, where we're seeing carbon tax being introduced here. And the trend we're seeing generally is towards large-scale plants. In our case, that's above 3,000 metric tons per day. And we've got the capability to design plants to 5,000 tons per day and beyond. So a little bit about the market outlook, and we say the green ammonia, we can deliver that out of one hand with our technology for green hydrogen. But that's a general market trend, everyone looking towards green ammonia here. On the urea side, with the cooperation with STAMI Carbon, if you look at the outlook, it's one of the most traded chemical commodities globally. We see a high demand globally, but particularly in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, South America. We're seeing now urea moving a little bit from commodity product into specialty products with controlled release, slow release products, and also the ability to add different nutrients into that. So into sulfur and other micronutrients into the product there. So moving on, digitalization, we all know the impact of digitalization and how that's accelerated on our lives, particularly during the COVID crisis. I mean, unfortunately today I'm talking to you digitally. I prefer doing this face-to-face, but we recognize that digitalization is very important and a growing trend for all of us. But it does offer some exciting opportunities in digitalization. We've always had the sort of human experts, and now we've got the computing power and the machine learning to bring the two of those together. So we're looking at the combination of human and artificial intelligence, and that's driving new opportunities for all of us. If you look at the human expert, the green ones, we can provide context, we can provide broad application, veracity, so analysis and making sure the data is correct. But we struggle to handle volumes, speed, and the availability of experts. But when you bring that together, whether the artificial intelligence, which is very good at doing the data volume, the analytical speed, and having that availability, and also the veracity is becoming equally important now, particularly with machine learning. You bring those two together and it creates a sort of virtuous circle for improvement. For us, it's looking at driving transparent operation, availability, and looking ultimately at quality and efficiency and how we can save operating costs. And also the health and safety I've talked about, at the availability and safety. Looking at the details, it's a combination of the plant, where we have the experts, and these are data experts as well as technology experts. So particularly the data experts bringing in all of this data visualization, analysis, and analytics. So bringing in that technology experts. The customer is the expert from the side of their plant, knowing how it operates from the DCS right through to the data and logging the data that's produced. So it's a combination of on-site access backed up with the service engineers and backed up with the data scientists and experts in that area. So a few different areas that the market's looking at. We're looking at data analytics and consulting. So this is regular reports and really driving further value out of those reports and getting deeper into the operation of that. So it really then uncovers things that we weren't able to look at the past. So looking at inefficient processes and how we can improve that. So predictive maintenance, we're all interested in predictive maintenance. So how we can get the plants running longer, how we can avoid unplanned shutdowns. And in some areas have taken reformer tubes, catalyst activity, or heat exchange fouling. So looking at that from a predictive point of view. So it's all about reducing the cost and time, added value, and then it's really, we use this word a lot, transparency, making sure we have data-driven decisions and avoiding unplanned shutdowns. Digital twin, this is an area I'm quite excited about, having seen it, how it behaves and how it reacts. So this is having a virtual twin of the plant that uses the learning from real data and allows us to simulate different scenarios, how to do operator training, how it looks at the prediction of that. So it really assists the operator to identify different conditions. So in this region, we quite often see different conditions from summer and winter, where we have differences in cooling water temperatures, as an example. So it's looking at that, how do we model that, and then how do we move from one scenario to the next very quickly, but still maintaining the operating window for the plant. We've got some selected references, and I've broadened this to show how we're using it across a range in different technologies. Process control, advanced process control, is looking at further optimization and automation. Drones, we're using drones in construction, we're using drones in looking at turnarounds, we're using drones for laser scans, and it just reduces the amount of time that's taken for all of these, the cost that's taken for all of these. And we can see inventory management as well using drones, particularly during construction. So this is something the market's developing, and developing very quickly. Remote export support, so this is using things like smart glasses, digitalization, and looking for them for supervision of maintenance tasks. Digital twins I've talked about, and a couple of examples of where we've deployed those. And then looking at the process improvement, we talked about electrolysis plants, propane dehydrogenation, and then the fertilizer projects in Egypt, where we're installing edge devices and looking at a database assessment and building up a deeper online dashboard. So it's something to drive the transparency. Latest innovation, I've split it into two areas the market's looking at the move from commodity to specialty fertilizers. So this is then adding different micronutrients, different coatings, and different developments of the technology on that. You can see 4 examples of that we've developed in-house, and others have developed that in the marketplace. But you can have a look at that and look at that at your leisure from that. But the main thing for us is developing these with minimal or no change to the existing plants. So it's how we can do an add-on and how we can do a retrofit. So that's important to the customers. Market innovation, we talked about sustainability, process integration, and efficiency. We've talked about green ammonia and green chemicals, and it's how about the reduction of the carbon footprint. And with the green chemicals, there's no CO2 produced, but oxygen is produced as a co-product instead, and that can often be a valuable co-product as well. And then the other areas are looking at how to reuse waste. So ammonium sulfate, reusing waste streams to make a valuable product. And then process intensifications. We got to things, methanol plants and the advances of that. Ours is branded Adwin methanol. And then looking at co-production with ammonia and methanol together. And you can see some of the advantages of these. The summary, market trends. The Middle East has always been a competitive region, particularly due to its low gas prices. But we know we can't sit on our laurels here. We have to continue to develop and continue to look at these trends, look at the trends to move into specialty or niche fertilizers, as well as producing the commodities at the lowest price possible. We talked about carbon dioxide trading and looking at taxes and certification of products coming in the future, and that's a big topic for debate at the moment. The high yield fertilizers, we touched on the slow and controlled release. We've always looked at process and integration and efficiency, something we always do. Digital solutions in many cases have been seen as an add-on, but for us, they're embedded into the standard technology offerings, and we're seeing that then moving through in the marketplace. And last, by no means least, is the green ammonia or green fertilizers, either by electrolysis or blue via carbon capture, utilization and storage. So that's the market trends, product development, sustainability and digital-based solutions. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention during the presentation, and thank you for the GPCA for this honor to present. And I'm looking forward to joining the Q&A session after my fellow speakers have finished. So thank you.